Oh, hey. There you are. Hey, Daryl here. Sweet Hot Rods and Honey. Thanks for joining me. We're still working on wiring up the 51 Ford, and it's going pretty well, but it's still a headache. It's a lot of work. But today, this is another part of the whole process. We're working on finishing up, well, maybe not finishing up, but getting a lot done on the vintage air system. And what I've done so far, I think I showed you in previous videos, is we've got the major plumbing finished. We have, let me get that out of the way. We've got the evaporator box, and we have the lines put in there for the heat and air conditioning lines here. I'll show you those closer. But we're mainly trying to work on the wiring inside the cab and connecting up the compressor. We have plumbing done here. We have the heater valve control that has a plug in it. I just got that finished. Fished it through the firewall and onto the valve. So that was fine. And then there's on this compressor, the air conditioning compressor, there's a 2-wire plug from the factory. And this is a 2004 LQ9, it's a 6-liter out of a Cadillac Escalade. It has a 2-wire going into the control for the clutch, one of the compressor. So the system that I have set up with a trinary switch, and let me walk around here so you can see. I don't have the trinary switch fully wired, but we have one wire coming from what is it? Well, there's a switch inside the car as far as like a backup switch. There's going to be a thermostat coming off of the block. No, I'm sorry, I'm confused. That's going to be for the Dakota digital system. We've got a thermostat coming off of temperature of the engine. We have a backup switch for just in case any of those things fail. And when the air conditioner is turned on, the trinary switch will activate, and it's all to activate the fan, right? So I'm getting all screwed up here. Sorry about that. Let me take you off this tripod so I can film it better. So the evaporator box is in, and we've got the blower motor and then the electrical connections. So these connections, this one goes out to that heater valve. That goes to the firewall. These other two connectors go up to the control panel that's going to get mounted here. And it's a pretty, the schematics are very good. So they've got all these wires color coded and a specific keyed connector. This connector is for AC. I can't read my own writing. I'm gonna have to get my glasses on. I just had eye surgery yesterday. I had cataract surgery done on my one eye, so it's a little tough to see. But anyway, getting back to the air conditioner. So we've got hoses for the air hoses coming out. I'm going to have to get one more plumbed. That's going to go, there's going to be one on the passenger, middle, and then driver side. We have the defrost all connected. But the only thing that I'm going to finish up in the cab is getting these wires connected to the control system. And that's pretty easy. So on this schematic, and the schematics are very good. Vintage Air System did a nice job. So everything is pretty much either keyed or color coded to specific locations. So what we'll have to do is get this control system, control panel kind of inserted in the slot. There are the 3 or 4 wires that were dangling off of the dashboard. They get connected onto this switch. We've got a keyed plug here. That's no brainer. And then we have a ground. That's going to go to ground. And I have the frame grounded to the cab and also to the engine. So we've got one common ground everywhere. So the red and the purple wire goes down to that trinary switch. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the same one. Oh, this is ignition. This purple wire, the red wire is fused and it goes to battery. So that's fine. The one problem I'm going to have is getting this capillary tube inserted, and it gets inserted into the very top of the evaporator box, which is very difficult to get to now that I have those hoses. But I can get to it from the driver's side. So let me see if we can get that put in. All right, I'm going to try to use this as a guide to connect the control panel up to these individual color-coded wires. I got the capillary tube inserted into the evaporator box. You can't really see it. I had to go by feel. I can see it from the cowl vent, but I can't see it from underneath the dash. So I got that inserted, and the recommended, it said it should be inserted at least 4.5 inches into the box. So the let me see. These are, it's like watching paint dry. I know this is not the most enjoyable entertainment, but it's tedious and it's necessary. So let me see if I can, I'm going to get these individual wires connected into the controller, and that will be good. We got some extra length here, so I'm going to have to curl it up from the relay control. I've got a wire that's got to go to ground. I put a ground block over here behind the glove compartment, so it's going to be common ground area, and just trying to keep the wiring as clean as possible. It can get messy really quickly. So after we get those connected, the red and this purple, red goes to the battery. The battery is in the back of the cab, and I'll show you that in a minute how I configured that. And then the purple goes to ignition, and I'm going to go straight to the ignition key and make that connection. So let me see if I can get that done, and it's just much easier. Like, it'll take forever for me to film and show you just each and every wire. Okay, well, this is a mess, but it's connected. We've got the controller with the thermostat mode control connected to all wires. It's a bit messy, but it's going to get tucked up under the dash nicely. And then the real mess is over here, connecting to the evaporator. I still have to mount these two relays, and they're going to go somewhere on there's a panel that encloses the blower motor, and then all these other wires are lifted on top of that shield. So that will tidy it up some, and we'll get some tie wraps or some tape to kind of combine some of these cables together to not be such a spaghetti mess. But this is all on the schematic, so it will be easy to follow. Everything connected onto the blower motor. We've got that. I'm just double checking myself because it's just kind of a mess. The one wire that I could not figure out what it was, this went to the thermostat on the controller, and that was this far right side. And that goes down to the trinary switch, as shown here. That's basically this wire, and this is representing the trinary switch to the AC clutch. So, yeah, these it's a little overwhelming looking at the schematics, but they've got it laid out very logically. So these were easy to determine because everything is marked. The terminals are marked, color-coded wires. So it's actually really pretty nice. So going back from the evaporator power off of these relays, we've got power and we have ignition. Back on near my fuse main, not the engine fuse box, that's over here, but the rest of the car's fuse box, I have ignition, a terminal strip here. So I'm going to connect that purple wire from these relays. After I get these relays set up on the evaporator box, I gotta screw those in. Then we'll know what kind of length we've got to add to this purple wire. And then the red power also has to be connected, and that may actually even fit all the way back to our battery box. And let me show you what I did in here. I wanted to keep the battery inside because it's just easier. It was a nice, convenient place to mount it. And what we have is main battery cable going up to the starter. We've got another cable coming off of that, and that's going to the fuse box. And then we have fuse box A, fuse box B. We also have this third wire. So those are all going to a 175 amp breaker fuse right here. And then we have that going into the positive terminal. And I have a knife switch as a quick disconnect. So just for safety reasons, I always like to have some kind of disconnect to kick the battery out. I usually use these types of switches to switch out main power, but I didn't have a convenient place to mount it, and I would have already ran the cable going up to the starter, so I thought I'm just going to put this knife switch in, and it's fine. And it keeps it contained within the cab of the truck. So that's our battery box. It's all bolted down, and we've got a safety strap that will keep everything contained. So let me connect the purple and red wire to the battery and to ignition. And then, well, actually before I do that, I'm going to have to mount these relays up on that removable case piece, which is this thing right here. So I'll put that on, mount the relays to it with probably machine screws so it stays on. And then if this has to ever come off, the relays will, flip down along with it. So I think that's going to work fine. We've got some organization here on the evaporator box for the air conditioner. We mounted the control relays and connected our wires to the evaporator box from the heater valve control, and then also we've got our control panel set up and tidied up. And so yeah, part of the mess is cleaned up. So what I did was, for this power, and I'll put a picture of this schematic on so you can see it easier. But what I did was, this is the battery, I'll connect the battery, but I use the AC heat feed for that, and I got it from the fuse box, the car fuse box, not the engine fuse box. And then for this other ignition, key on ignition, I use the CB radio fuse box, or fuse, because that's not being used. So those are all connected. We connected this, and the individual discrete lines are connected. So the only thing that we have this connected to, we have it brought up to the trinary switch, but it's not connected. That's not going to really matter right now, because all that does is control the air conditioner or compressor clutch. But everything else should work, and I checked it out. So let me just show you. We'll turn on our main power on that knife switch. Our controls are off. Let me turn them on. I'm just going to turn on accessories, and we've got fans. So right now it's fans coming out, defrost up at the window, and I can feel that. It is not tremendous, but it's going to work. The next one I think is face level, and that's going to be these guys, this one, and they're going to be mounted under the dash. This, it's tough to see, but I think it's a combination of floor, which has a very powerful output here. You can see that, but that's going to be mainly for heat. And then there's a little bit of, no, that's only floor. And then this one is floor, and I think defrost. No. This top is floor and middle. That's floor only. That is middle only. And it's not really the strongest amount of air coming out. And then our defrost. So they all work. Our fan levels work. Right now, this is for the heater control. That's not necessarily going to do anything right now, because we don't have it. We don't have anything running through the system. And then this is for our air conditioning cooler. So we got heat and cool. So that's working. I'm happy about. Our windshield wipers. Let's see. Yeah, this is the wiper. And those are working. Sounds like I've got a little catch under here on the linkage. All right. We don't have headlights hooked up yet, but that'll be here. And let me turn this off. So this is going to be fuse box A, and that's for the car. Fuse box B, and that's for the engine. All of those things are hooked up. Now I can show you the fan override. I'll turn on power, and on this panel, which is going to be mounted underneath the dash. You're not going to really be able to see any of those controls, but the auxiliary outputs for charging phones and things like that. But I also put a switch here for this radiator fan override, and that's working. So we have, it's going to be pulling in air from the front, so that's fine. The line going to that is got to be, I gotta have to splice off a line which will go to our to the block for temperature. So when we reach temperature, we'll have a connection to ground, and that'll turn on the fan as well. And the other place that's going to turn on the fan is at this trinary switch. So that when that gets grounded to the trinary, if we've got high pressure on the AC line, that'll turn the fan on as well. So that detects that we've got air conditioning running. So for now, I think we're gonna stop as far as the air conditioner goes and heater. I think we're far enough along for now with that. I'm gonna have to finish fishing the hose output. That's either gonna be in the middle or on the driver's side. So the next big job is getting these gauges, and those are Dakota Digital. It's going to be a challenge with that because we've got to find room to mount 2 modules underneath the dash, and we don't have a whole lot of room left. So here's what we got from Dakota Digital. Here are the 2 gauge clusters that are going to be mounted on the dashboard. And here are the modules that we've got to find room for. This one and this one is BIM 102. So that's going to be fun, trying to get a good spot for them. And see what else we have. We've got to look at these schematics and see the wiring diagram. But let me get back to the car, or the truck. Air conditioner. I'm gonna have to get a vacuuming pump, hook into the high and low pressure side, and vacuum all the moisture out of the system, because I didn't do that yet. But the most important thing is we haven't started this engine yet, and I have some doubts, but because we've modified, we put a new cam in this intake manifold, so that's going to change some things. And then I modified the PCM computer module to eliminate some error codes related to the 202 sensors, and a few other things. The evap valve and the evaporative system, that's gone. So yeah, I'm going to get some help from my buddy Dan, because I haven't started, or this is the first LS engine that I've ever done. So the tricky part is wiring on the PCM and all the sensors. And let me see if we can make it a light. We'll get under here. I've got some things tidied up right here on top of the, I'm going to mount the computer box right on top of the steering, or the brake assembly, where the brake pedal is connected to. It's a good solid mounting point. And all these wires back here were from the C2 connector on the fuse box, and there's still a few odd connections that I haven't made or eliminated. So I've got everything else as far as sensors go, controls to the fuel pump, all those miscellaneous things, and I'll show you on the schematic. But it's these couple, 3 or 4 other wires that I've got to track down to see where, if we still need those or not. So this is worrisome for me because I don't want to blow up this computer. I don't want to have to buy another module. I mean, you can get them for a couple $100, but I just don't want to have to buy something else unnecessarily. So that's going to be in work. And then after I get everything wired up and straightened out underneath the dash, then I can finally put in the steering column, because if I had the steering column in, it would be in the way. And so this cable is going up to the standard GM connection on the steering column. So that's all ready to go for turn signals and so forth. But that doesn't mean we have turn signals in the back or the front. I've got to wait to get the pickup box assembled and set in, and fenders, before I can do anything back here with lighting and brake lights. The same goes for the front, but we ran all the wires up through here, and what I did was I have a closed channel. I boxed in the frame, so I used loom to cover up the wires, and so those are all going inside the channel of the frame. We have our ground going from the frame to the cab, engine to the frame, and I've got another frame to cab ground in the back of the cab. So our grounding system, I think, is pretty solid. The one thing that I still have to do up here, and it's really been bugging me, is getting this frozen stud out of this broken off stud from the exhaust manifold bolt. So I have not done that yet. But things wire-wise, we're looking okay. This is all going to get tidied up when everything is working. After I get the engine started and working, and the other systems, this will get wrapped with electrical tape and probably a wire loom. But I just want to make it look nice. And then the same up here with the wiring going across the back of the engine. I think eventually we're going to get some kind of nice decorative cover for these valve covers to cover up the coils and the coils and the injector wires, because it looks kind of just sloppy the way it is. But things are coming along. What else can I say? Yeah. Wiring, it's been one of the biggest pains in the butts that I've ever had on the old small block Chevy, small block GM engines. It's a piece of cake to wire them up. But LS, you've got to worry about a lot of different sensors, and if you've got the wiring messed up, you may not be starting the engine. And one thing that I always put on my cars, if they're, if it's a small block or an LS, is an AFR. So figure out. I've got the line run, and it's going down to the exhaust on the passenger side, and I just have to finish wiring it up to power and lights. If I get the gauges in, I'll wire this in, and this gauge will be mounted underneath the dash, just behind the heater controls, and it'll be mounted on this panel. So that panel goes back there like that, and so that'll keep everything pretty clean. So we're getting there. It's a slow process. I don't know how many hours I put into wiring so far, but it's been about, 5 or 6 days worth of a few hours each day. So it's been taking a lot of time. But I'm happy so far with this setup. I think it's going to work out quite well. And Usually I've been doing builds, driving for a couple years and sell the car. This truck, I intend to keep it long term because I'm putting in, good stuff, and it's going to be a cool truck. So yeah, I think that's my plan for this vehicle. As far as the 55 Chevy, I intend to keep that. Again, I'm going to be putting in vintage air AC into that. I'm going to put it away for the winter time at my buddy's house, and I guess probably in the spring I'll bring it out of storage and work on the AC system there. But for now, the truck will keep me busy over the winter time. Refrigerator. We ordered a new refrigerator. This one works, but occasionally drips water inside. I don't know if it's some kind of defrost problem, but yeah, we're going to get another refrigerator, and that's supposed to be coming tomorrow. So yeah, we're just keeping things rolling in the shop. We got a new refrigerator, and it looks good. Works nice. So we're happy about that. So we're at the point where I think we can switch gears with stopping the air conditioning. We've got about as far as we can go for now. We'll get back to it when I get a vacuum pump, and also once the engine gets started. I installed an AFR gauge, air fuel ratio, and that's going to just hang underneath the dash here. So I've got these auxiliary plugs, the switch for the override of the radiator fan, and so I think that's going to work out just nice. So we're at the point of the Dakota digital gauges. They're going to go right here. It's a 2-gauge set. Speed, tachometer, oil, fuel, the normal, water, turn signals. There's all kind of cool indicators on those displays. But what comes with the system is a main control box right here, and also an adapter box, which is going to go, it's going to connect to the ODB port. So that's where it gets a lot of its data. But some of the other discrete data is going to come in and get connected directly to this box. So the real issue is we literally do not have room underneath the dash, like underneath the driver's side dash. This area is going to be consumed with the ECU, PCM. So that's still really going to be tight. So I was thinking about mounting this control box and adapter over here. Sorry about this. But I think what I might do is make a plate. Instead of having a glove box, we're going to have to use it for the Dakota Digital stuff. What I was thinking about doing was making an L bracket and then a plate, or 2 brackets to hold this controller in there, kind of like that. So each one of those these lines to connect in I'll have easy access. If I stuck it underneath the dash or somewhere else, like in the back of the cab, it would just be more cumbersome. And so we're just going to have to relinquish the glove compartment, and I'm going to be mounting it in there, and then this guy alongside of it somewhere. So I think that will make it clean. And yeah, so here I'll show you the box, but here's the one quick start schematic that they have, and they show this the instrument cluster gets connected to this control box through Cat5 cables, two cables, and then this BIM adapter has a connector that's going to go to connect to the output of the ODB2 port, and then I think one of these, I'm not sure which connector that'll get this, the two of these will get connected, I think via that port. I'm gonna have to read through all these directions, but in any event, I think for now, we're gonna end this video, and I'll have an up and coming video of the Dakota Digital install in the truck. It is tight, and I knew it would be, but it's working out. So we're going to end this video here, and I just want to thank you guys for your support, and be sure to stay tuned. I'll have another video coming out with still more of the wiring, and then eventually we're going to have a video or so of getting the engine started for the first time. But I've got to just make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and make sure it's right before we even try to crank the engine. So, all right, thanks a lot. We'll see you the next time real soon.